Hello and welcome back. We're now going to dive into this cave and see what we can find. And it's very icy in here, and it's also going to be very dangerous. So what we're going to do is we're going to cast the mirror image spell, and hopefully this will help protect us a bit. And our copies will really love casting buffs on us a lot. And we'll slowly make our way through here. And our allies will really help out. As you can see, they really pay for themselves. And the enemies up ahead are what we'll really need to cast them for. Doomfrost. These guys are very dangerous. They like to cast hold on you, and they like to cast lots of cold-based spells on you. And unfortunately, they can kill you rather easily. So we really need the distraction against them, because they can really do a number on us if we let them. And they're able to see through our stealth spell as well. And if you get lucky, you can try to get off a hold spell on them before they're able to do anything. But more often than not, that's not really going to work. So you really have to rely on the mirror image spell to protect yourself. And they'll get distracted by your allies. If you're lucky, they won't even target you. They might target one of your copies, but that doesn't seem very likely in most instances. And your allies aren't too smart either. They'll tend to cast projectile spells against the Doomfrosts, even though they have deflection up, so they can't really do much about that. Oh, and your allies will also, or your copies rather, will also heal you, so that's always helpful. And if you're quick, you shouldn't have too much trouble killing them. But as you saw, my copies there died because they tried to cast projectile spells against the Doomfrost. So that can be rather troublesome, and you need to be careful of that. And just try to keep your allies alive as best you can, though at times it's rather difficult. But hopefully you won't have too much trouble with this area. If you brought other allies along, they would help a lot. They'd probably also die, though. So it's sort of a mixed blessing. The ice golems you fight in here aren't nearly as much trouble as the Doomfrosts. And they shouldn't really present too much of a problem for you, I don't think. They mostly just stand around. They probably won't even be able to look past your stealth if you happen to have that. If you don't, again, no big deal. You'll probably fare fine without it. There we go. So yes, this is where the power of the mirror image spell really comes into play. It's unfortunate that we still don't have a copy of that deflect spell, because that seems rather helpful, but remains to be seen whether we'll get one or not, I guess. But for now we'll have to rely on our mirror images to help us out. And unfortunately, even with our very high mysticism, the mirror image spell doesn't last very long. And one thing to note is that this particular Doomfrost happens to have an item on him. None of the other ones do, but this one does. And this is another case of very strange items appearing in very odd places. And it's actually not too bad of an item. It's one of the only decent helmets in the game that actually doesn't give you any... that doesn't give you a stealth penalty. It actually gives you a stealth bonus. So this is one of the better helmets for a scout. It's probably the best one for the scout. And it's just unfortunate that it appears so late in the game. And I guess we could actually put that on. It's actually not too bad, and probably beats out the helmet that we have. Yeah, I'd say it beats that by a fair margin. So we'll go ahead and stick that on our head and wear that from now on. And see what else we can find. Again, the frost golems, not really a or the ice columns aren't really a challenge. They don't really seem to give us much trouble. It's really just the Doomfrost that you need to worry about in this area. And if you can handle them, you shouldn't have any... If you can handle the Doomfrost in this area, you really shouldn't have any problems with any other part of the game, because really they're probably one of the hardest enemies you'll find, especially for a mage, and especially if you happen to be going alone. But with your mirror image spell, you shouldn't have too much trouble. That is, if you manage to pick it up. If you happen to pass it by accident, you might run into problems, but fortunately that wasn't the case for us. And again, you'll need to use the Great Wolf spell in order to defeat the Doomfrosts. Using projectile spells again won't work, so it's fortunate that we picked it up just recently. I don't know if that was an intended little add-on there, if they put it in for exactly that reason, but it's there, and you should take it. You'll also notice that your copies actually cast a number of buffs on you, which is also very helpful. I'm not exactly sure what stats they have. I'd imagine that they just use yours, though they might be reduced significantly, I would imagine, since your stats are rather good, and just being able to make 3 copies of yourself for a bit of mana, well, a lot of mana, but still, being able to make 3 copies of yourself seems very powerful. Anyway, we seem to have found this mystical tree, and you can talk to him, and he'll tell you that the Shaohul are stationed in Infernus, Land of Fire, the portal we noticed earlier, and we can ask him about Glaucus, the mage we met just recently, and he'll also provide us with a medallion that will let us pass into the Land of Infernus. So we're now prepared to enter into that area, and as its name might imply, Infernus is an area of elemental heat, I guess you could say, or fire, I suppose is a better term. And the medallion should let us get through there. I'm not sure at what point you can enter the realm of the Naga. I think we can do it now, so I suppose I'll go check on that, because that would be handy to know, as we'd like to explore that area as well, since they're allies of the Shaohul, and any discomfort we can cause them is good for us in the long run. And so I guess we'll head there as soon as possible. But let's see here. Okay. Anyway, as you can see, the mage doesn't really have too much trouble at this point of the game, especially once you've picked up the mirror image spell. It really helps out things a lot. If we get the deflect spell, that will help a lot too, and it'll certainly be necessary for fighting some of the later bosses in the game. Some of them can be rather powerful, and they're immune to certain techniques, like using the hold spell on them. They tend to be immune to that. I can't remember which ones we've encountered that are immune, but I know most of them are, at the very least, highly resistant to the hold spell, and that they'll the duration will be severely reduced against them. We still can't enter this area for some reason. Not sure why. I guess we have to explore Infernus first. So I suppose we'll go do that. And we can find the portal to Infernus right here. And with a new medallion, it pops right open for us, so we can head inside. And we'll explore its area in the next video. See you then.